what I've been doing for the last few days, whilst I've been waiting for JP at the machine shop to get me some jobs done, I modified this yet again. This time I made, out of some scrap bits and pieces I had left over, some little brackets, and I got some like silicone rubber bobbins on there to insulate this from vibration or anything, so it's a lot better now. And you can see what I've done here. I've got it at an angle rather than straight, and the reason for that is prop shafts really need to have somewhat of a different angle for the universal joint bearings to get grease around them, otherwise they won't do anything. And it turns super nice, but there is that still chatter in that box, but it's not bad. You know, the thing is, when it's in the car with the clutch and the flywheel and all that lot attached to it, you won't hear it, because at the back there'll be a load on it. You know, going through your transfer case and your axle, you won't hear it. It's just here, there's no load. Now I did think about putting some sort of a load onto it. Not sure what. Somebody suggested a generator, and I thought that was a good idea. But again, it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger, you know, it's going to take over my bloody building. So, anyway, it does work. It's switched on, let's run. There we go. See, it's a lot quieter. It's not bad at all. So at least I can have this running for a few hours to get the oil circulated and make sure it's not leaking. And this one actually does leak, or we think it leaks, out of here. Now I'm going to do that on a separate video, because it's a part that's it's a part that's overlooked, and it's only an O-ring, and it can leak down the sides of here. Sometimes it's when the gearbox has been tipped over and you open them up and there's a great big pool of oil, and that's where it's come from. So that's not too bad. No, it works well. So I'm quite happy with that box. I don't think there's any real need to pull it to bits. I mean, it changed gear really nice. It really did. Now, on another note, we've come up with an idea, because Bill sent me his transmission that's on my bench, and we'll go and have a look at it now. So this is Bill's gearbox, and this is as far as I got. I just cleaned up the outside a little bit, the casing, get the sealer off, and it is in good condition. So sometimes when you have gearboxes and it's a problem, we were trying to find some noise issues in this, but this is as far as I got. I called it a day after that, because I said there's nothing in here that looks untoward. So what we're looking for, well, let's see if we can do a little bit of a full screen. We're looking for bearings that's collapsed or damaged or burnt. These obviously been recently replaced. That's good. We're looking for chipped teeth. Nothing to see. Everything's nice and clean. There's no burrs, pits or anything. Now this is where it gets interesting. Some people have difficulty changing gear. Unusual on a Land Rover, I know. But why are they difficult to change gear? Because we've been through this once before, and I think we were barking up the wrong tree, because we automatically think that it's the synchronizers here, the brass rings are worn. So these have already been replaced, so there's no point doing them again. But what you want to do is feel the back of here and see if they're worn. And also, this is really important, in here, right, this is the gear, this is the bit it locks onto. That brass ring, and between that brass ring and these teeth here, there should be a 25,000th of an inch gap. Remember that. If that brass ring here is touching the gear without any like force, it's just touching, and it's expanded or it's worn, then it's time to replace it. So when I looked at these here, I quite simply, without disturbing any of this here, because it's all got to go ping, You don't want that. But just lift up the fork and check that gap. It should be, the minimum is 25 thou. Alright? Now, be careful on this because some cheap synchro rings don't really fit well. You know, so I always get my stuff from Ashcroft. I'm not giving him any plugs and he doesn't give me now either. But the kits have been pretty consistent. Alright? I have had some blue box ones, and you can see in the picture here that it wouldn't sit down on the cone. Same sort of angles, things like that. But when I put the gearbox together, it was locked up, and that was the reason. So you're going to check these here, these gaps here. Also, this is why I got my prop out here. This is from the Spanish 110. Oh, I'll take that zoom off a bit. So this is off the Spanish 110 because I had a notchy gear change and I didn't really know what it was. Because I changed this whole second gear assembly with new rings and everything, and it was just about still the same. And I worked out it was this, the fork. So this fork is off the fifth and reverse selector. This ring here is exactly the same diameter except it's marked differently. These have got little markings on, others should have. Yeah. See, that's got a little notch in there, a little one notch. That means it goes towards first gear, which is here. So this in effect is this bit. This saves me taking all that bits to show you. But because this is a third and fourth, because this is a fifth and reverse synchro, selector, it doesn't get that much use. Whereas first and second, you're always banging in and out of that one, and these can get worn here. These little pads here, because they come into contact here. Now, it's very rare for this steel piece here to wear out, but it could be that these are worn. Now, this is why I'm using this one as an example, because if you put that onto there, it's a pretty nice tight fit. Yes, the lion will sleep tonight, but that's a nice snug fit. So if you find out that your selectors, it's not quite going into gear, it's crunching, and you've got your boxing bits, check these. And like I said, this is a good one to check because there's hardly any wear in it. They don't really do anything. I mean, you might only put it in reverse once a day. You never know, do you? But that's what you're looking for. So on here, you can lightly grab hold of this. Now this isn't a very good example because it's moving that way, but you can sort of test it and see it feels kind of nice. And the same with this one. You can feel it in the pad there. Now, I think Ashcroft wrote to me and he said it shouldn't be less than 7mm. I do believe it's 7mm. Hold on, let me measure this one. Yeah, that makes sense, because I just measured these pads here and they're coming at, that's difficult to say, 7.38, and the other one, no, that's not right, 7.29. But if I think Ashcroft said to me that it was 7mm was its limits. Now you don't find that on the book. Alright, you don't find that inside the workshop manual. We won't tell you that. It's a secret, but you've learned secrets here. Now, in the Land Rover workshop manual, it states that you have to buy this assembly, maybe zoomed in a bit, all in one. You don't really have to. You can buy these selectors separately. The difficulty is getting the pin out of here, but if you've got a press and a little like a V-block with a hole in it, so it's supporting the shaft, because you don't want to break the shaft, that'll spoil your day, and you certainly don't want to bend it. If you push the pin out, you can get it, you can get these off, because this won't come off. This one will, that'll just disappear off, but this one's held in because there's another pin at the bottom here, a location pin. So either one of them you can take out. I've done it before. So sometimes when you're looking at boxes, have a look at that wear on there. because like I say, first and second's the one that's going to get worn out. Alright, so I'm going to, you know, like I say, I'll box this up, but this has got a little bit on it, look. It's not tight, but I haven't got a new one to show you. But I have this one here, but I can't get it in. As the bishop said to the actress, won't go in. But knowing that this one and this gap is the same, you know, like that, this is a lot tighter. So maybe Bill might want to put his hand in his pockets and get a couple of these out. Now, can you reclaim them? It's brass or bronze. I think it's brass. Could you reclaim them? Again, I had a word with JP about this, and he said to me, he said, well, maybe, but if you sort of TIG weld the brass, which is going to be interesting, where do you take your datum from to get it machined flat again? Because you see there's a little point here as well. I don't know, because they have been machined. You can see where it's been machined down here. Yeah, tricky one. They have to be brass because it's like self-lubricating-y type stuff. Well, sort of. But prone to wear. I don't actually know how much they are, but it might be a thing, especially on first and second, to change that one. This one, you can change gears without using your clutch, and you know, like third and fourth, it's pretty easy because everything's spinning kind of fast now, so it'll synchronise better. But the first and second, that's the one that gets a lot of use. I'm keen to look into that to see if we can salvage these. I like to salvage as many parts as I can. But like I say, you can't sort of put solder on them and build them up with lead. You can't do anything with them really. Now, talking about building things up, if you cast your mind back when we took this box apart, the bearing for the lay shaft that goes onto here fell out. It fell out the housing, and we think that well, I'm almost sure that was the cause of the noise. It probably is, and unfortunately that bearing is, well, it sort of renders the whole housing scrap. Now, I did chat to JP about it. I said, oh, can we weld it up? Can we TIG weld it up and you machine it out again? And there was a lot of sucking through teeth going, because there's 3 holes in the housing. I can't show you it here, but I can show you a picture of it here. The 3 holes aren't equally spaced. They're off a little bit. But he said if you TIG weld it, machine it round, and then or TIG weld it back up again. There's 2 problems. He says it's preciously close to the holes, so you might have trouble trying to re-drill and tap the holes out when it's been welded, because you can't move the pump round and re-drill the holes. They have to be there for the ports for the pump. Let me get a pump and I'll show you. So there's the pump, and you can see there's the 3 holes we were talking about, and they're not equal distance, and there's the ports, one there and one there, inlet and an outlet. Now, what we did was, for an experiment, I went down and I took him a housing off the TD5 that was completely buggered. It wasn't an economic repair, so I said for stripping it down and inspecting it, I'll just keep the parts and see what we can do with them. And a new housing is $3,000. That's a little beyond my price range for a gearbox. Again, thus rendering it scrap. Now you can see again from this image, that box has had a lot of life. If you look where they've put the oil seal into the back, it looks like they've done it with an axe. So I was just spinning some ideas past JP, and I said, because he wanted to put a steel bush in, he said machining aluminium is going to be tricky, soft. He said, and it might sort of rattle around again. And he says it's really difficult going to put a steel sleeve in there because that might rattle around as well. So I said, what about make a top hat bush? You know what a top hat is? The old gentlemen used to wear them like this. It's got a flange on it. And if you do it upside down, like a top hat upside down, then you can just cut into the casing, which he did this morning. He faced it down by about 25 thousandths of an inch. And then what did he do? Yeah. So he's going to turn a bush to go into the casing, a press fit into the casing, but also lines off those 3 bolt holes, and that's why he wanted the pump, because it's kind of difficult to work out where the holes are, but you can use the old pump to spot through and make the bushing. So if that's pressed in from the back, the bushing is held in by the pump, and it's also held in tight to the housing. Now, of course, the actual finishing part of that will be honed out, you know, because we want the bearing to be a press fit, but we don't want it to expand to such a point that it's going to put a lot of stress on the bearing inside. I don't think it will, and I'm sure JP will get it right, but it's a good idea if it works. So we're going to have an experiment on the TD5 box, and then I can put that onto here and see if it works. You get it? Because if it does work, well, it's the end of the story, isn't it? And then we can get bushes made. The downside is that you need a fairly decent piece of like 3-inch diameter steel in order to machine something very, very thin. And again, I chatted to JP about this, and I said it seems to be a good idea, but they all have to be made individually. I did think about making some, you know, like some drawings up and getting them made, but he said, So we're gonna have a go at that one, and then we can salvage the original housing off this and do it again. So it should work. It should work. I'm kind of happy with that. And why didn't I use Loctite or anything like that? Well, it seems with the gears, when you've got gears like this, and maybe I could explain it, they're like little wedges sort of thing, and they're trying to push each other apart as they're going into mesh, just a little bit. And that's why these bearings are here well, obviously there to keep the shaft going around, but once you get a little bit of loose in there, that's how bearings get loose in casings. Now we're okay with this because this is cast iron. There's no problem with that, or cast steel, whatever it is. That's very little of a problem to me. But the aluminium is it's a bad idea. Apparently those lay shaft bearings do have a habit of breaking, but are they breaking because they're flying around, you know, like wandering around in the casing? Like I say in another video, Ashcrofts do a bearing upgrade, but I can't buy them, so I don't know what they are. And he said that what you do, you have to machine the oil pump. Why would you do that? Why would you machine the oil pump? Maybe they're thicker like this, who knows? Maybe they're the same dimensions but a little bit thicker, I have no idea. But it seems a pretty desperate thing to machine the pump. But, who knows? Who knows? So anyway, that's what we've been getting up to, and that's what to look for with the gearbox. So, you know, when all the bits come back from the JP's shop, it's going to be really, really busy. Oh, one last thing I forgot to tell you. Another reason why I lifted up the gearbox over there, well, let's have a look and see over there. You can see it. Oh, got a bloody mess in here. I've got to get some tidying up done. You can see it's on the table up there. And why is it so high? Well, I can get a bucket under it when I drain the oil out. If you've ever had one of these gearboxes on a sling, and you'll find out you can't get the bloody oil out because it's all one-sided. Now I can put a little bucket under there and get the oil out. Things you have to do, eh? See you later.